Hi, I'm Lorenz Stelmischuk. Thank you for viewing my capstone presentation, Improving Outcomes for At-Risk Youth Through Connection, Care, and Attachment, Rationale and Strategies for Holding On When Kids Want to Let Go. I've been a high school alt-ed teacher for nearly all of my teaching career. The students in these programs are often on their last attempt at completing a K-12 education. And these students also tend to gain the most from building the connection with their school, teacher, community, and education. Connection is the keystone of my work, and I argue that it offers myriad positives for both students and teachers. As we will discover through this presentation, connection can help improve academic success, build resilience, and offer a safe haven for kids who have none. The introduction, or Chapter 1, will highlight my journey and the argument it led me to. Chapter 2 will cover the literature review and the theoretical support for connection. Chapter 3 offers applications for bringing connection into practice, and Chapter 4 is the conclusion with my summary and implications. The sections are seen in the top right-hand corner of the slide in the blue box. A startling statistic, but 40 to 60% of students feel chronically disengaged from school. A study by Lansford et al. In 2016 offers even more startling data. Students who have not completed high school by the age of 24 are, by the time they reach 27, 4 times more likely to be on government assistance, 3 times more likely to be arrested, and 2 times more likely to have unstable employment. Disconnection has many causes and often more than one influence. The major contributors are mental health, adverse childhood experiences and poverty, as well as a general inability to cope. The growing existential threats that face our society, increased polarization, climate change, political unrest, and a rise in populism leaves little to be enthused about. Living currently in the midst of a global pandemic has also had significant consequences for diminishing mental health and disconnection. As a case in point, only 30% of students returned to school in the spring of 2020 following a lockdown protocol at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. For those youth who find themselves in underprivileged homes or living in poverty, engaging in risky behaviors, or suffering with mental health concerns, failing to return to the physical school building can have deep consequences. I was inspired to begin my master's in education by the students I teach. The kids who inspire me are the ones on the fringes. They're vulnerable, at risk, and underprivileged. They're also real, raw, gritty, and in need of the most love and care. I have a strong kinship to these kids, and I think of my classroom along the lines of the Statue of Liberty's poem, The New Colossus. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. These, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me, I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Anecdotally, I've been asking my students in mainstream and alt-ed, as well as in my work in student outreach, why it is that kids are leaving school and what school needs to do to improve. Of all the responses I received, chief among them was addiction, followed closely by a sense of disconnection with the learning environment. Youth addiction and mental health are often linked and exacerbated by social, economical, and familial pressures. Of those who did feel disconnected before they left school, they felt that school didn't prepare them for the real-life problems, like finding a job, paying rent, and taxes. The third most common reason was simply that school was just not a safe place. My purpose in this project is to highlight the protective and positive outcomes that fostering connection has with this demographic. In my capstone paper and in this presentation, I claim that youth identified as being at risk benefit greatly from a sense of connection to the school and community. I make this claim because I believe that an increase in connection promotes healthy behaviors and school completion, which further improves future life outcomes. I support this claim with evidence from research on how connection in schools can support better academic successes and how school completion holds the promise for lifting people out of poverty. When youth are exposed to adverse upbringings, poverty, addiction, or neglect, their ability to remain in school is far diminished. Education, though, holds the promise to liberate underprivileged and youth at risk from cycles of poverty, addiction, and violence. This paper is focused on getting the students most at risk, street affected, and the like back to school with the ultimate goal of having them graduate. The major evidence to support the argument youth at risk benefit from connection in school can be described in three broad themes. The first, connection matters, highlights how important connection is in general. Students who feel connected and engaged in their school community are far more likely to complete school and avoid negative behaviors like skipping, failing classes, or getting suspended. Having access to caring adults and high-quality teacher-student relationships also improves the likelihood of school completion in vulnerable learners. Additionally, forming connection through a positive school and classroom climate can have wide-reaching impacts on such things as mental health, building empathy, resilience, and academic success. Once the students are feeling connected, the benefits are profound. Academic achievement increases and students feel more confident in their learning. Engagement with the learning community is a strong predictor of scholastic success. Connection also has the ability to improve a person's earning power post-secondary, and indeed there's a direct correlation with the level of education and earning power. When youth at risk complete their K-12 education, they are far more likely to find better paying jobs than those who have not completed to grade 12. In addition to this earning power, connection can reduce the instances of risky behavior both in the immediate and future. When students feel a sense of belonging, they show marked decreases in substance misuse, anxiety, and increases in resilience and school completion. All of these benefits act together to further improve the post-secondary life outcomes of youth at risk and can break the cycles of poverty. The final aspect of connection that supports my argument comes from the importance of forming healthy attachments. Attachment theory is based on the premise that the proper development of a child occurs when caring attachments take place. This development is contingent on forming connection to a safe adult and the strength of the trust in that relationship. Creating opportunity for positive relationships allows young people to safely attach to an adult, learn with and from them, and then gradually grow independent owing to that original secure attachment. When safe adults are not present for attachments to occur, however, youth will form peer attachments that may or may not be healthy. Youth at risk often find themselves within a peer group of toxic relationships and risky behaviors. These behaviors, at least according to Neufeld and Mattei, relate to the need for a sense of invulnerability against uncontrollable circumstances. The protective nature of connection and healthy attachment provide myriad benefits to youth at risk. The next slide will examine applications of this research to support integrating connection building in schools. This slide highlights a roadmap of connection building through the applications of some of this research. We began first by forming a setting, which I've chosen to be high school and alternative education. Then, an exploration of the frameworks of attachment theory, care pedagogy, and trauma-informed practice. Attachment theory's already been defined, but in practice it takes shape when adults are able to be warm and inviting while maintaining a strong boundary of hierarchical relationship. The pedagogy of care was first imagined by Nell Noddings and is centered around a reciprocal relationship of care. This is a deep form of connection and can be brought into the classroom through explorations of the existential heart of life. Learning is built on the strengths of a child and places emphasis on the holistic well-being and learning at once. Trauma-informed practice is a collection of policies, procedures, and approaches that seek to mitigate the effects of trauma and provide positive behavior supports. There are as many different forms of trauma-informed practice as there are traumas, but the basic principle is of meeting a student where they are and using regulation and co-regulation to bring them to safety. Thirdly, a positive climate is key for building connection in schools. Making the classroom a safe respite from the traumas and dramas of life can be a lifeline for at-risk youth. Building this positive climate involves attuning to the emotional states of the students, providing unconditional positive regard. This is balanced with the creation and maintenance of strong boundaries in the classroom for behavior, as well as having fair, clear, and consistent boundaries. Social emotional learning and resilience can be considered the missing pieces in education, as social emotional learning can equip individuals with the knowledge, attitudes, skills needed to understand and manage their own emotions in order to set and achieve goals. It can help develop and maintain personal, positive relationships with others and support positive, responsible decision making. Social emotional learning, or SEL programming, has been shown to improve connection, socialization, self-concept, academic success, conduct and behavior, as well as overall mood and mental health in a review by Oberle and Schonert-Reichel in 2017. As they propose, socially and emotionally competent children tend to be at ease in the school and classroom context and can focus better on the academic tasks provided to them compared to children who struggle socially and emotionally. Oberle and Schonert-Reichel, 2017, page 180. In Zolkowski's review of youth and resilience in 2012, resilience has been defined as possessing certain strengths and benefiting from protective factors that help overcome the adverse conditions and lead to thriving. Resilience can be supported through fostering belonging and teaching regulation and coping skills. There's a great deal of overlap between SEL and resilience building, but using resilience as a focus of SEL can help to build safety and belonging, as well as teach co-regulation and other coping strategies. What follows are two programs designed to support connection in schools. The first, Circle of Courage model, can be used with both mainstream as well as alt-ed students. This work is one of prevention, whereas the second is one of intervention. The Circle of Courage framework is scaffolded by a medicine wheel and follows a culturally responsive and trauma-informed approach. In this program, the directions of the medicine wheel are related to belonging, mastery, independence, and generosity. Each quadrant offering a lens to work from, but beginning with belonging is key. From this initial connection, nurturing the independence, mastery, and generosity complete the wheel. For more specific examples, I highly suggest the book Reclaiming Youth at Risk by Brentro et al., 2019. The second program, THORS, which stands for Transitional Help and Outreach Support, is one I created and used in my time in alt-ed, working to bridge street-affected youth back to school. This program follows a response to intervention design and is targeted to the most intensive needs students. THORS provides community and home visit support with dedicated outreach to assist students to build connection with school staff members, and is then followed by an in-class 8-week program to build student skills and prepare them for re-entrance to an alt-ed class. Reconnection into school and resiliency support are the two overarching goals of THORS. For these programs, they support the argument of connection's importance and should be delivered in conjunction with a care pedagogy, trauma-informed practice, and social-emotional learning. The basis of success is to stretch beyond the current programming options to craft a program of your own that will meet the holistic needs of students, including the basic physical needs of safety, supportive and healthy relationships, fostering a sense of self-efficacy, and building bridges to wellness opportunities. capstone paper has laid out a roadmap of my experiences as a teacher working with at-risk youth. Connection, that inner sense of togetherness and belonging, is at the core of my teaching practice and has been at the core of this paper and presentation as well. I've sought to present and defend the argument that youth identified as being at risk benefit greatly from a sense of connection to the school and community. This paper and presentation have centered around a broad theme of connection, with each chapter providing a unique approach on this broader theme. Situating this work into the literature, the theoretical underpinnings I have presented align well with the current understanding of at-risk learners and connection. The novel approach of interweaving care pedagogies, attachment theory, and trauma-informed practice as frameworks to work from offer a holistic approach for practice, and I believe is a strength of this project. Within the context of implications, I believe that this paper has demonstrated through a theoretical implication that connection is invaluable to youth at risk across so many areas of their lives. And I believe this was substantiated through the literature review, as well as my own anecdotal adoption of a connection-first education. The practical applications and implications of this paper are centered around how to promote connection within schools. I hope the work that I have done can support a shifting view of high school students from being products that need to be cognitively developed towards a lens of seeing them as people to be nurtured holistically. This holistic nurturing requires the thoughtful application of the strategies listed in the third chapter, but contains the promise of brighter futures for all children in the classroom, be they from vulnerable or more stable backgrounds. The conclusion I can draw is that connection matters, and it should matter to everyone involved in a child's life. We are all stakeholders of the future generations. My educational journey has been one winding road towards an understanding that the heart and soul of education is at the heart and soul of all involved. Connection is the tie that binds the experiences of my journey as I seek to find and create places of commonality between myself and my students, as well as myself and the greater world around me. I believe connection is what holds the keys to brighter futures and offers inroads to reconciliation and healing. I'd like to thank you for your attention and time today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I can be reached at the email available on this slide. What follows are my references. And again, thank you for watching. May you and all beings be well.